anytime you get a chance to play against high quality opponents, teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament, that helps prepare you because of the challenge of those games. And fortunately in the ACC, we play a lot of NCAA tournament quality teams up and down the schedule. With us getting the double bye to the quarterfinal, chances are you're playing an NCAA tournament team in the quarter. If you're fortunate to win that, you're playing one in the semi. If you're fortunate to win that, you're playing one in the final. So a short span of time, you're having to play these high-level games, and that's exactly what the NCAA tournament is like, although you get the day between in the NCAA tournament, but you're playing hopefully two high-level teams on one weekend, and you're going to have to try to find a way to win those or your season's done. So that's similar to this tournament. If you don't win on Friday night, you go home. And so that type of pressure and that type of high-stakes game is important, I think, as you're preparing. I don't care who we play this time of year, it's just you let the bracket play out. And the one thing I know March does is it never plays out the way people think it's going to. So you just have to focus on yourself, and that's what we're going to do. And then who's ever there in front of us, we're going to look to see if we can put together, a good enough performance to win. We as coaches, we obviously look ahead from a scouting perspective. That's the nature of our job, but we don't really talk about the opponents with our players. Like we won't talk about potentially who we play until that game is over, and then we'll talk with the players about the matchup. And I think that's the way we do it. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but we want to be really focused on ourselves and the areas we need to grow these couple days. And then when they get an opponent in front of us, then we'll work on what we need to do to try and beat them. Explain less to them, meaning like about the logistics of it. I felt like I was explaining a lot. Like we're going to go over there, and this is what it's going to be like in the postseason, and this is how we do it, and this is when we watch film, and this is when we do this, when we do that. So I just was explaining a lot of things last year because it was their first time doing it, and this year they know. The other thing that's helpful was when we played in Vegas earlier this year, because it was like NCAA tournament schedule. It was like play one day off, play another day. And no doubt those two teams were NCAA tournament teams, right? Kansas State and Oklahoma have had fantastic years. So schedule-wise, we treated it like the NCAA tournament in terms of what we did, our postseason schedule and what they did and how we worked, everything down to the food, to the recovery, to the film sessions, to the walkthroughs, to the practices. So they've had a taste of that already earlier this year in Vegas, in terms of how the schedule goes. And so we made sure we did that this year. So now that, they've already had one rep of that, and then obviously they'll get another rep of it in the ACC tournament, and then third time hopefully is the charm in the NCAA tournament for us.